Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. I'm your host, Lonnie Jones, and the adventure part is basically just our experiences. And some of those experiences are as mundane as growing up, being married, being a young married couple with a kid, or being a middle-aged couple with grandkids. Some of the experiences will be my adventures as an outdoorsman, a rock climber, a fisherman, a hunter, or my experiences as a police chaplain who's been assigned to a SWAT team for over 30 years. Some of that adventure may even boil down to the idea that there's a belief that I'm a chaotic Jedi. And either way, we'll take the experiences or the adventures and we'll talk about the facts. The facts will lead to concepts, and the concepts lead to application. Basically, it will be anecdotal wisdom. One cautionary word about the facts is we will tell you the facts just as they happened, but sometimes we'll tell you the facts the way we remember them happening, and sometimes we'll tell you the facts the way we've heard other people tell us the way they remember them happening. In any occasion, it's not an attempt to deceive. There'll be a little bit of embellishment, and it's an all good, clean fun and for learning purposes only. Thank you for keeping up with Jones. Introducing the Bible degree with digital ministry. Paul used the marketplace and the synagogue to reach an expanded audience. We have access to the internet and social media. I once heard it said that when McDonald's introduced the drive-through window, they did not change the Big Mac, only how it was delivered. Faulkner University is now offering a new digital ministry track for their Bible degree. Faulkner's degree provides training in understanding and teaching the gospel, alongside training that will allow students to create quality digital content. Opportunities for evangelism in the digital spaces is unlimited, and this is innovative ministry education for our contemporary culture. One of the instructors is a two-time Emmy-winning former ESPN designer. Members of the Church of Christ could be eligible for the full tuition Jack Zorn Scholarship in order to pursue this special area of study. For more information, contact admissions at faulkner.edu. That is admissions at faulkner.edu. Faulkner University is a digital partner with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. TKM Incorporated in Moss, Tennessee is a construction company that specializes in erosion control, seeding, and soil, hydroseeding, hydromulch, minor excavation, and silt fence. They also provide traffic control and construction signs. Their business is keeping people safe, but their passion, their mission, is they wish that all men could be saved. TKM has adopted the nickname the King's Men because as they serve you, they also serve the King. If they could provide any of their services for you, please contact them at 931-243-3958. That is 931-243-3958. Or you can contact them on the net at tkminc2001 at twlakes.net. That is tkminc2001 at twlakes.net. TKM Incorporated is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. I'm not really sure what it was. It could have been a Maserati. It could have been a Lamborghini. It could have been a Ferrari, but it was sleek. It was low profile. It was fast, and it was flying low. We were on the outskirts of Atlanta, and this thing with all blacked out windows comes zipping by us quick enough that you really couldn't get the details, but at the same time you could read on the rear bumper. It had two bumper stickers, and the bumper stickers fit perfectly with the color scheme, but on the left side and on the right side of the tag were the words Coke. And in the middle was a vanity style plate, and the vanity style plate in all capital letters said dealer. This was in the heyday of a TV show called Miami Vice. This was a popular show back in the 80s, and it featured the inner workings of the police officers who worked undercover in Miami and posed as drug dealers and arm dealers to catch the bad guys. They even created this Miami Vice style fashion where a lot of pastel colors and loose fitting coats and baggy pants with rolled cuffs and a lot of soft canvas style shoes with no socks. The main character, Sonny Crockett, he carried a pistol that actually didn't exist. He carried a Bren 10 millimeter automatic in a shoulder holster. It started a craze of large caliber guns and shoulder holsters. The main characters were, like I said, was Sonny Crockett and Ricardo Tubbs. There was this guy named Edward James Olmos who played Castillo, the mysterious lieutenant who worked for this group. And then there was this comic relief guy. He was Cuban, and his name was Izzy. Izzy and his accent was actually the inspiration for my creating a character named Rico Suave. That if you've ever seen the church skit team that I work with, Rico Suave is based on the character Izzy. Now, this was not the first TV show to do some of the things they did, but one of the things they did, they weren't the first, but it was super unique. They used top charting music as the background theme. Now, several shows had used popular music, but there were some problems with it. There was a sitcom in 1978 called WKRP in Cincinnati. This was based on a radio station, and this aired 6 years prior to Miami Vice. And as a sitcom set in a radio station, pop music was a natural part of the premise. So in the scenes, you'd hear this, top charting music playing in the background, but that music embedded into the show was considered to be diegetic, which means the music was played within the world of the show. And so it was kind of organic, or it was kind of indigenous to be part of that. And it wasn't created just as a score for the audience. Now, because of the syndication issues, and we have those today. You look on Facebook and you'll see a reel or a meme, or you'll see things on social media, and you'll see the tagline, "I do not own the rights to this music." Or if you use a song in one of your short videos, one of your Facebook reels, or an Instagram short, you may end up with a tag that says, "This video is participating in revenue sharing." That means you can't use this music without paying somebody some money. So the cost of syndication on TV was so high that WKRP actually replaced the music they were using, the top 40 songs, with the cover songs or with generic music, and it displeased their fans quite a bit because they were kind of music purists. There was another approach to having popular music embedded in your show, and that is actually the cover song approach. There's a little series that came out about 3 years before Miami Vice, and it was called The Greatest American Hero. And it used pop music, but it did so by commissioning and featuring low-cost cover versions of the popular songs instead of playing the expensive original versions. And if you go back and watch that, you'll see in scenes where there's a confrontation or something, you'll hear the song, Bad Moon Rising, but it's not by the original artist. So when Miami Vice came along and aired, it rewrote the rule book on how music would be used in a TV drama. It is reported that the show spent $10,000 per episode for the rights to use original recordings. And they were placed in the show as part of the drama. They were placed as part of the psychological element, weaving them into the key scenes to create a music video type atmosphere. I guess the most famous or the most iconic scene is in one of the very first episodes. Crockett is driving the Ferrari Daytona Spider under the darkened skies of Miami. You see the moon in the background. You see the city lights lit up. And as he's driving in for this final confrontation with the drug dealer Esteban Calderon, it's a long scene. It's the length of the Phil Collins song In the Air Tonight. But there are no words. The actors don't speak. You watch him changing gears in the car. You see his foot on the pedals. You see him stop the car on a deserted part of the highway, and he's making a phone call to his estranged wife. And all you get for this entire scene is Phil Collins singing "I Can Feel It Coming" in the air tonight. It was really cool. It was the show wasn't that great, but the atmosphere they set and some of the things they did was really cool. And I've got to admit, okay, the first time that as a police chaplain, I was with the guys and we walked into the Vice or the Stack office, I was a little disappointed when I saw posters of Tony Montana rather than Crockett and Tubbs. Now, I went down this rabbit hole because I had in my mind the idea to tell you about my long history with a Coke dealer. He would prefer the term upper level executive for the Coca-Cola bottling company or vice president of distribution or something like that. But as a youth minister, I just always referred to him as the Coke dealer. I don't really know what his actual position was, but he did work for Coke. And as a youth minister, I used a lot of Coke products, soft drinks. We'd use Coca-Cola products for gatherings, for retreats, for camps. If I needed multiple cases of whatever, I'd contact this guy and we'd drive the van or the trailer or the truck or the hatchback down to the Coca-Cola plant on Meridian Street and get as many cases as the church needed and at the price that a youth budget could afford. In my tenure at the church, we did 4 retreats a year, 1 or 2 summer camps, several special projects, and then every year we did a VBS, and every one of those events was supported and sponsored and helped out by the Coke company. This executive for Coke gave us deals on this. And so when we serve soft drinks at church, when we serve soft drinks as part of a youth event, we met all our soft drink needs by my friend, the Coke dealer, also known as the deacon at the church named Paul Fowler. As an aside, I've had good relationships with the Coca-Cola bottling company. I've been involved with Coca-Cola corporate a couple of times. When the Olympics were in Atlanta in 1996, I was privileged with the opportunity to run the rappelling tower and the climbing tower at the Olympic Youth Camp, the International Olympic Youth Camp. And all the soft drinks and all the Powerade was sponsored and provided by Coca-Cola. And I got to work with this very special group of facilitators who work with these international kids. And then much, much later, I would be the lead ropes course facilitator for the first ever Camp Coca-Cola, a youth program that Coke wanted to be their signature program, kind of like the Ronald McDonald House. And I worked at the very first one as their ropes course guy at Camp Juliet Low. Well, anyway, so one day as a youth minister with a friend who's a Coke dealer, I'm out doing youth minister stuff. And I get this raging, I'm talking about Old Testament level plague headache. And I don't remember if we'd been out all night on a weekend at an event. I don't remember I'd been dumb enough to have a lock-in. I don't remember just, not managing the stress of ministry very well. But I have this raging headache. And I stopped at one of the Circle stores. I don't remember Circle C or Circle K, but it's a Circle store. And I bought some of those instant headache powders. And in order to wash it down, I grabbed the first thing I put my hands on, and it was a dark carbonated beverage. And honestly, I don't have a sophisticated palate. Dark carbonated beverages all taste the same to me. There are people who say they can tell the difference between Coke and Pepsi in a blind taste test. You can if there's only 2, but you put 3, 2 Cokes and a Pepsi or 2 Pepsis and a Coke, and only one person in 1,000 can tell the difference. But anyway, I bought this carbonated drink, and this was even in the days before I drank diet stuff. I drive over to the church building, and because I'd been out away from the office, I was going to stick my head into the office of another minister and say, hey, I'm back in the building if anybody's looking for me, if anybody needs me. And so I round the corner, and I walk into this office, and there sitting in the chair was the deacon in charge of Coke, Mr. Fowler. And I was holding a Pepsi. Our eyes met. I tried to turn invisible. I thought I might use the line, these aren't the droids you're looking for, with some modifications. You don't see this can, I covered the Pepsi with my notebook of things to do. I even thought about saying, Walking in here, I saw a small child, a small innocent child drinking this, and I took it away from him, and I'm looking for his parents. But in truth, there was nothing I could do. There was nothing I could do but look at my friend who worked for Coca-Cola and stand there with a Pepsi in my hand. The only thing I could do was look chagrined, feel awkward, and retreat from the office. It didn't damage our relationship. It didn't make him not help us when I needed soft drinks, and I'm probably really the only one who felt awkward about it, but I did feel a little awkward and a little embarrassed. I mean, he listens to other people preach, right? But had I known that I'd run into him, had I known that there was a possibility of seeing him that day, I would not have brought a competitor's product. I would have not have brought a Pepsi near him. Now, I guess there could be worse things. A number of Jumbotron incidents come to mind of people misbehaving on a Jumbotron, either with their girlfriend or taking baseballs away from people. Maybe those are worse, but even worse than that. Imagine rounding a corner. Imagine stepping into the office. Imagine going into your living room and Jesus is there. And what if you were holding a grudge? What if you were holding contempt? What if you were holding on to a bad or a toxic habit? What if you were holding a lie or gossip? What if you were holding off doing something that you knew you needed to do? It happens every day. We forget that Jesus is always in the office. He's always in the car. He's always at the ball field. He's always at the table. He's always at our house. And not only is it easy to forget, although we don't see him, he sees us. And we show up holding the things that offend or harm the claims that we make about belonging to him or being loyal to the brand of life that we call Christianity. Paul said, this is the apostle, not the Coke guy. Paul said, when I wrote to you before, I told you not to associate with the people who indulge in sexual sin. But I wasn't talking about those who don't believe. Those who indulge in sexual sin, who are greedy, who cheat people or worship idols, you would have to leave this world to avoid people like that. I mean that you are not to associate with anyone who claims to be a believer, yet indulges in sexual sin or is greedy or worships idols or is abusive or is a drunkard or cheats people. Don't even eat with such people. You see, we advertise. We have a product brand. And we say that we're Christians. And yet we participate in things that are impure. Sometimes we love money more than people. Sometimes we serve the little g gods like fame and pleasure rather than serving people. We are rude, we're unkind, we're ungentle, or sometimes we're just mean. We use substances to cope or escape. We use substances to create feelings that we don't want, or to mask feelings we don't want, or to create feelings we don't have. We are dishonest, sometimes emotionally, sometimes financially. Sometimes we're just dishonest because we treat people badly by promising one thing and doing another. And Paul says if you wear the brand Christian and you behave that way, the other Christians should stay away from you. It's interesting to me that we often are confused when people are turned off by religion. But one of the reasons is that we are inconsistent to the point of hypocrisy. I'm not talking about people who make mistakes. I'm not talking about people who go through day to day living up to their potential for being imperfect. I'm talking about people who claim one thing and do another, who will shop at the Coke plant but walk around with Pepsi. You see, if believers should not associate with other people who are called themselves believers, but who carry the wrong product, if we're not supposed to hang out with those folks who don't support their own brand, if believers don't associate with such people, is it any wonder why sometimes we have a hard time getting those people who don't believe to choose to support us, to choose to respect us, to choose to join us, to choose to listen to us, to choose to follow us anywhere? Because, see, we advertise one thing, but we actually consume, we actually use a different product. Using the tool of shortwave radio, World Christian Broadcasting literally covers the world every day with the gospel. They use 2 large curtain antennas. One is located in Anchor Point, Alaska, and the other in Madagascar. They send out messages that are recorded at their international home in Franklin, Tennessee. They make available 40 hours of broadcast every day. The broadcasts are made in English, Chinese, Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, Korean, English for Africa, and Arabic. They would love for your group to visit them. You can bring your ladies group, your youth group, or your men's group. Just give them a call at 615-371-8707, 615-371-8707, or you can go to 3Ws and a dot, worldchristian.org, find the Donate Here button, and make a financial contribution to support this work that literally covers the world every day with the gospel. World Christian Broadcasting, in cooperation with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. The mission of Heritage Christian University is simple. They aim to advance the churches of Christ by equipping servants through undergraduate and graduate programs. Heritage Christian University produces effective communicators of the gospel, focusing on evangelism and a commitment to Scripture. Heritage Christian University is accredited by the Association for Biblical Higher Education and offers the following degrees: Associate of Arts in Biblical Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Biblical Studies, Master of Arts, Master of Ministry, and Master of Divinity. Since 1968, Heritage Christian University, formerly International Bible College, has offered affordable degrees in biblical studies, allowing graduates to thrive in their ministries without the burden of loan debt after graduation. For more information about Heritage Christian University, visit www.hcu.edu. That's 3Ws and a dot, hcu.edu. Heritage Christian University is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure.